Good morning, it's Monday Motivation here. So I hope you're ready to go. I can't believe it's month end this week. So on Thursday will be the 30th of April. So I don't know how you're feeling about the month of April. What word would you describe to use if you describe the whole month? But today's subject is how heavy are your words? One of the things that if you've read Manage Your Critic, you'll know that L stands for language. And one of the things I do is ask questions like, what kind of is that? And is there anything else about that? One of the things that I find when I'm listening and watching and observing my clients when I'm working face to face is there are certain words that make them go, oh, like that. You go like, I'm working all week. Or, oh, I've got to do the housework. And I just want you to think about how you get your whole body involved with certain words that you're using to describe your situation. And here's two strategies that you can do. That if your words, the language that you're using to describe your situation or describing yourself are having a negative impact on your energy and your motivation and your drive, is you have two strategies you can do. You can either one, change the word, or two, change the meaning. So one of the things that I've caught myself saying a lot is a word I use is called I'm struggling. When I started going, so what kind of struggling is that struggling? What I really mean by the word struggling is that I'm processing it. I'm mulling it around in my head. So if somebody asks me something, I'll go, oh, I'm struggling with learning online memberships training right now. I'm not actually struggling with it. However, that might be a word I use. And what I realised I meant by it was that I'm in the middle of that sort of learning process where everything's a bit chaotic. It hasn't become the new norm. I'm still practicing with it. So it's almost like a playful wrestle for me, struggling. And often when I use the word though, other people would have their sort of weight, if you like, with that word. So if I said struggling, they'd go, oh, that's awful. And what I found was the feedback of what by using that word was what actually didn't work, because that's what I used to then lose my motivation. So what I've realised for myself, I found it very hard and I haven't been able to change the word completely. I'm just find myself when I'm saying it going, when I catch myself going, I'm struggling, I'll go, oh, it's because I'm in the middle of learning, it's fine. I'm quite light about it and it's quite easy for me to say it. But I am absolutely super, super mindful that it'll come out of my mouth and then I have to just sort of say to them, oh, and by the way, struggling to me is just my fun learning process. So good morning, we've got two people live. Please say hello to me because it hasn't told me who it is. Love to know who's listening. We're talking about how heavy are your words today. So just thinking about the language you're using in your to describe your experience for the month of April. So if you had to describe April for you as being like what? For me, it's been quite steady and consistent. I've had like three things really from a work point of view that I've been really focused on every day. So I'm supporting my Do Delegate or Ditch management, Do Delegate or Ditch delegates on their 8-week course right now every day. I'm spending a certain amount of time on content creation, and then as a percentage of my time being on getting the final edits of the book back to my editor, fingers crossed next Monday. So that's kind of where mine's been quite steady. And when I sort of say the word steady, it has actually it's quite a solid, but it's not heavy. It's a sort of like, it feels like my feet are on a really sort of steady ground and I just know the steps I'm taking. It's like a really consistent and it's fine. But as I said it out loud to you, what I did catch was like, ooh, have I done enough to... Well, actually, I think I wasn't acknowledging. They were my three core areas. But what I've also got, I've just got an awareness of sort of two other lighter areas where I've just regularly grabbed a bunch of people that I haven't heard from or seen on Facebook, that perhaps my clients or my family members. And I've just been dropping a message, how are you doing? Haven't heard from you. How are you coping with everything? And just checking in with people as often as I can. But going back to the subject today then is thinking about the month of April for you is like what? I'd love to have your comments below. Please tell me your month's been like what? Mine's steady and it feels like consistent. And actually another one would be productive. We've had some massive shifts in personally. We've cleared out 2 sheds. We've emptied the loft. The skip's being picked up shortly. It's like full. So we've been having a lot of a declutter with that sort of stuff. And I feel like that's also another thing that's happened within my mind in terms of the business. It's like I've just ditched everything that I'm just really focused on these things that I'm going forward on at the moment. So what's for you? And then once you've got the word, just notice what happens when you say that word. Is it a word that's uplifting and motivational, or is it a word that's like heavy and it's kind of like weighs you down? Perhaps consider whereabouts is the word, and please answer the questions below. Does that word have a shape or size? So one of the other ones that I work on with the Do, Delegate or Ditch program, when people came to work with me, one of the first models we do is, because they're going to be learning about themselves, we model to start with when you're learning at your best, learning's like what? To find out how they need their learning experience to be. That's for two reasons. It's to find out how they can set themselves up for success, but it's also, as me as a trainer, teacher, mentor, coach, I can also adapt my behaviour where possible, where it doesn't make it so I'm not working at my best. I can adapt for their learning style. So we do that first of all, and then we look at what was really interesting is people say, well, I'm not learning, I'm working. And I go, okay, so we did working at their best. And so I have got a client I'll do at this moment saying, well, I class personal development as working. And it's just noticing when you put certain activities in a certain box under a certain head or a certain label, what works about that? Because I found that over the last, I'm doing a 30-day challenge, and I have to do an hour to 2 hours work every single day, 7 days a week. Well, that isn't my normal working at my best. I have 2 days where I just go with whatever's happening in the moment. I'm not forward thinking, I'm not reflecting, I'm not making myself really think hard. I'm just doing whatever I want to do in the day, usually at the weekends. So I've had to do this task every day. And I found that saying it was work was feeling quite heavy. So I just changed it to I'm learning every day. So there's work tasks I'm doing. What's really interesting though, when I've got to go into Facebook and answer my clients' questions on Saturday and Sunday, I don't class that as working either, because that's not the what I call the heavy work. That's more of it's the engaging and the coaching, which is what I call is the stuff I really love doing, the stuff I find easy, the stuff that's enjoyable, interesting, intriguing. Yeah, I was asked a question by somebody about how to download something. Well, that now uses a different part of my brain, and that's now in my working thing. So I just said, I'll do that when I'm back in the office at the laptop, because it required a different part of my brain, and that was much more of a sort of heavy kind of working. So it's just noticing the language you use, and to remind you again that you've got two choices. You can change the word. So in my case this week, I changed it from working to learning 7 days a week. But I also separated my time out, and when somebody asked me to do something that would feel like work and had that sort of like heaviness about it, I've got certain times in my diary when I deal with that kind of thing. And so I just put it in that space, because then I can focus on it, because it requires taking my mind to a different space, using a different part of the brain to process. And the other thing you can do is, if you can't change the word, like my struggling, where I just use it on autopilot, is kind of my word and it's fine and I'm okay with it. I still, processing is a word I've started to use. I'm still processing that, or I'm still making sense of that, is a word I've kind of started to play with changing from struggling. But when it comes out automatically, you can change what it means to you. And so when I first realised that struggling was having this negative impact in terms of other people worrying about me and then trying to help me, which then added to my struggle, because I was already in my head dealing with my stuff, and then they wanted to try and help me. I was like, I don't need any help right now. I just need to process this in my own head. Is I found that using that word didn't help me deal with my struggle. And so I didn't change the word straight away. But the first thing I did is change the definition. So it was more, I'm struggling with that idea at the moment. I'm struggling with the making sense of it at the moment. So I kind of expanded the definition. And just by talking out with you today, what I have also just acknowledged, what I have started to do more often, particularly when I talk to somebody else, or if I catch myself saying struggling, I'm aware now it's when I'm in this learning phase. So it's more about processing, making sense, learning, developing, that sort of thing. So please share with me below, your month of April is like what? Just notice what that word is like. Is it a word that's uplifting? Does it feel kind of heavy? Where is it? Does it have a shape or size? And then consider, is that working for you? And if it is, it's fine. Maybe you like carrying a real heavy weight around with you and it works really great for you. But if it's not working, two options. You could either change the word or change the definition that you associate with that word. Hope that's inspiring for you. Fantastic. Look forward to speaking to you tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Have an amazing week. And again, just let me know if there's anything that's on your mind, and I can tailor these videos to suit you as we go through the week. Have a brilliant week.